Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Ubuntu Community Q&A. We do these every week, same day, same time, always on ubuntuonair.com. If you are watching this anywhere other than ubuntuonair.com, you should go there right now, because right below the video, we have a nice little embedded chat widget, which is where we will be watching for questions from you guys watching. If you have your own IRC client, you can join it. It's on Freenode. The channel is #ubuntu-on-air. But the easiest way is to just go to the website, ubuntuonair.com, and watch us there. If you have a question, just start it with the word question in all capital letters. That way Alan and I get a nice highlight so that we don't miss it in whatever chatter might be going on in that channel. And we will get to those questions in the order they come in, as many of them as we can, and as many of them as we get. So ask away anytime. But first, we're going to have a few things that we're going to talk about. If you were watching us last week, you saw 4 of us online, all in the same room, which is a bit unusual for us, but we were all sprinting in Texas last week for a combination of the Community Leadership Summit and also O'Reilly's OSCON, which was happening there in Austin. If you have not been to the Community Leadership Summit, it's an unconference where a bunch of community managers and community leaders get together to talk about what they're doing, what problems they're having, and try and come up with solutions together. We put a bunch of notes together from those sessions. Unfortunately, the sessions themselves were not recorded, but the notes you can see on communityleadershipforum.com, I believe, is the address for that. And then after that, we had OSCON, where we had an Ubuntu booth, thanks to Jose from the community. And also thank you to Ian from System 76, who came and helped us run the booth there. We've got some pictures of that on Twitter and I think on Google Plus too, if you want to go over and see. If you have any questions about either of those 2 events, feel free to ask in the IRC channel. In the meantime, I'm going to hand it over to Alan, who's got a new phone.
Hello. Yeah, new toy arrived. I could probably show you in a couple of ways. I got one of these new Meizu Pro 5s, which arrived yesterday, I think. I ordered it, I think I ordered it end of April, and it was supposed to be delivered last week. But while I was in America, I had to postpone it and have it delivered this week instead. Yeah, it's nice. It's not as it was sold as gold on the site, but it's not as gold as you might think. It's yeah, the color is kind of nearer pink really than gold. I doubt my webcam is really picking up the actual color of the device. If I get some more natural light in here, it may help. But yeah, that's the device itself. Yeah, it's lovely. It's fast. It's lovely to hold in the hand. I haven't dropped it yet, which is a bit of a bonus.
Have you sat on it yet?
No, I haven't sat on it yet either. Yes, I still have my MX4. Current state of MX4 is like that. So yeah, I'll fix that one day. So yeah, it's a nice device. I could probably show you the screen actually. Hold on just one sec. I can share a rather funky tool. So hopefully what you can see now is what's on my phone screen.
Yeah, we can see.
So this is streaming over a USB cable. So it's not, you know, it's not the fastest frame rate of screen capture. The phone itself is nice and quick. I've currently got it in flight mode so that you don't see all my Telegram notifications popping up on the screen. But yeah, it's a nice device. I'm currently running it on the RC proposed branch because I like to have the latest daily crack on my device rather than the stable channel. I did have it on the stable channel, but I quite like playing with the new stuff when it appears. And one of the new things that that recently appeared was the ability to stream to a display dongle thing. If you look in brightness and display, there's a wireless display option down the bottom, and I've just powered on a USB dongle, HDMI dongle that's plugged into an HDMI display next to me, so that'll show up. Currently, I think one of the only ones supported is the Microsoft display adapter. So I think others will be supported in the future. It probably isn't working because I've got airplane mode on.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to work for you without Wi-Fi.
So if I just turn off flight mode, come out and then go back in again. There you go. So yeah, you can see it shows up. If I click on that, then my display will go blank on the phone, and then it appears on my other monitor. I'm not going to do that right now because if you want to see that in action, then there's a couple of YouTube videos that I did. You'll find me on YouTube channel is Popey DC. I shared it on Google Plus and Twitter and everything, so you can see it in action. I did a couple of brief videos showing what that looks like. I attached it to my TV in the lounge, and also attached it to a desktop in my office, and yeah, it works really well.
So a lot of people have asked about input lag. Can you give any comment there?
Yeah, I didn't notice a tremendous amount of input lag, to be honest. I haven't done what I plan to do is use it in anger, you know, for a day or something, and see if I can find, you know, any gotchas. But it seemed pretty quick to me. I haven't typed long documents, and that's probably where I would notice it, is if I was typing long documents and, you know, moving the mouse a lot and selecting text and all that kind of thing. Those things would probably be more noticeable. But let me stop sharing this thing. Oh, actually, I could probably, yeah. So yeah, it's nice that you can have, you know, quite a few apps open at the same time, because it's got quite a lot of memory, and you can switch between them nice and quickly. But yeah, I did a video where I showed playing a video, like a HD video trailer, and that didn't seem to have any lag. So when I pressed the mouse to pause the video, it paused pretty much straight away. I mean, the same lag that I get on my laptop when I press pause, you know, the same kind of delay to pause there. I didn't really notice anything. So I don't know, but I need to try it more in anger to be sure.
Cool. So is this Microsoft dongle, does it use Miracast or does it use a different protocol? Do you know?
I don't. I assume it's Miracast. There's two dongles you can buy. There's a link to the dongle I've got in the YouTube video underneath. In the description of the video is the one that I bought. I can show it to you actually. Hold on just one second. I should unplug it from my display, which means reaching over and stuff. So let me just grab this. This is it. So it looks like a Chromecast kind of thing, with a USB connector on the end to get the power. There's some tiny writing on it with a model number, but I can't read that from here.
Yeah, I can't read it.
No, well, it's facing me, so you wouldn't be able to. There's loads of tiny writing on there. I can't read it, but there's a link in the video. If you just follow the link, it takes you to Amazon and shows you the device. There is another device. That's the first generation one. Apparently, there's a second generation one as well. That's the only one that I've tested. I've been told by the guys that all of these Miracast devices are a little bit quirky, and so you might find that you know, this one works, but another one doesn't. And it's probably worth us capturing the logs from a session of you trying to connect to a device. If you do try it and it doesn't work, then you can capture the logs. I think the Ethercast logs are in var log upstart etherlog, Ethercast, somewhere under there, and you'll find there's a log that shows all the connection information. I think that's the kind of stuff that they want to capture.
I think there's a command line tool if you wanted to do it that way that'll spit out a bunch of information. At least right. That's what I tried before all the nice GUI stuff landed.
Right, I think it's etherctl or something like that, or Ethercast CTL.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Although now with the GUI stuff, I don't know if that's still still there.
But also it's only currently supported on this device, the Pro 5, because there's some optimizations that were done that required Android 5, and all the other devices are currently based off, the kernel is based off Android 4. So this is the only device you can use it on at the moment. It may come to other devices in the future, I don't know.
All right. Well, the last thing I wanted to talk about before we jump into the questions is Snappy. Probably a lot of you have seen us talking quite a bit about this. Snappy is a new packaging format that's kind of evolved from the Click packaging format that we built for the phones. It has the same principles as Clicks. Apps are all confined. They're all safe to install, safe to run. They can't do anything without user consent. And that lets them go through the store without any manual source code review like the archives do. That is now available on the desktop in Ubuntu 16.04. And Alan and I and the rest of our team have been playing with that recently. We started a new project called Snappy Playpen that is now on GitHub. I think we're still working on the announcement and organization for how that's going to run, but that'll give you some examples of how to make some snaps. I've made 2 so far. I made a Python GTK snap of my own app, and just yesterday I got KDE's calculator snap package. There's still some issues to work out on that one, but it's really starting to show how easy it is to build snap packages. So if anybody's interested, you can join #snappy to talk to the developers. You can join #Ubuntu-community-team and talk to us about Snappy Playpen and how to get involved in that.
Yeah, that was good fun. I made a couple. The first one I made was an FFmpeg snap, which takes the upstream source of FFmpeg from GitHub, builds it, packages it as a snap. I think the goal isn't that we would package those things. We're doing this so that we can iron out some of the issues that people might have in the future with packaging things as snaps. So don't think that the community team are here as your packaging service. We're more like consultants. We'll point you in the right direction and help you and point you to the examples that we've got. But we're probably not going to package your app for you. We've picked a few that we thought might be interesting. So I did FFmpeg because it's a command line tool, so I didn't have to worry about any graphical stuff. It's also something that's fast moving, and people often want the very latest version of FFmpeg and other applications as well, where in the past they would traditionally use a PPA to get that. With Snappy, the developer, the maintainer of FFmpeg or whatever application could upload the latest bleeding edge nightly build to the store, and users who wanted to run the daily build of FFmpeg could choose to do so. They could also upload a stable version as well, so they could have 2 channels, one for users who want the stability of a stable release, and users who want the bleeding edge can have that as well. So you get to choose, a bit like choosing between a couple of PPAs, but this makes life a lot easier. So one was FFmpeg that I did. I had a crack at a couple of others, and they've highlighted some issues with Snappy that we've passed upstream to the Snapcraft and Snappy maintainers. So these are exactly the issues you would have if you were going to create a Snappy package yourself. So that's partly why we're doing this, is to identify these gotchas. So I tried packaging a voice and video chat called QTalks, which almost works, and we identified some Qt related issues with Snappy packaging. And another one called MAME, which you may have heard of, is a arcade emulator, which is also fast moving and the kind of thing that people often want the very latest version. But also other people want a stable version that's compatible with the library of ROMs that they've got. So I thought those would be good examples as well. And once they stabilize and once we fix the issues upstream, we'll put those in the Snappy Playpen. So Snappy Playpen isn't going to have like loads and loads and loads of different packages. It will just have a few choice ones that we figure might be good examples for you to learn from, and also ones that highlight some of the best parts of Snappy.
Right. And as Alan mentioned, we're not planning on being the ones to package and support these apps. And in fact, the whole point of Snappy is that the distro itself doesn't have to package and maintain packages for these apps, that the upstream can directly create the package and put it in the store and get it directly to users without that middleman and that review process or lifecycle freeze that they currently have to go through for most Linux distros. So you would get a stable OS base, but then you would have like a rolling release for all of your apps that you use every day. So that's good. That gives you the best of both worlds that way. It makes the upstreams happy because they get to deliver their app exactly how they want, when they want. And it makes users happy because they get all the cool stuff. All right. Well, shall we get into the questions now?
Mm-hmm.
Again, if you have any questions, ask them anytime. We will answer them all until we run out, and then we will end the show. So if you want to keep us here talking, keep asking questions. First, the first one is from Wheelie Joe. They ask if they have problems with Ubuntu phone, where can they call or send emails?
So the first protocol, it kind of depends, really. I mean, if it's obviously a software problem, there's some UI issue or there's some software problem with an application that we've delivered, then I would say file a bug. And there's a useful wiki page. There's a couple of useful wiki pages. If you go to wiki.ubuntu.com/avengers with a capital A, there's a list of all the software packages that are, well, most of the software packages that are in the phone. And so that gives you a direct line to file bugs, and we keep an eye on those. If it's a hardware problem, like, you can't make phone calls, or it won't connect to the wireless network, or, it feels like something phone hardware wise, then contact the manufacturer of the phone. So for example, for the BQ devices like the E4.5, BQ have a support contact number and email address that you can contact if you have problems. And I know people who have had problems with their phones and either returned the phone or had it swapped for another phone or had it repaired. And the same goes for Meizu. For Meizu in Europe, as I understand it, there's a support department in Italy, Meizu.it, and they're able to deal with hardware-related issues to Meizu devices. I know, for example, Daniel on our team broke his MX4 and had it repaired by Meizu.it.
Do they cover sitting on phones?
I don't think they cover sitting on phones. No, that's accidental damage, which is why mine's still broken.
That's too bad. And if you want to get some live help, you can join the #Ubuntu-Touch channel here on Freenode. It's not a substitute for filing bugs in Launchpad, but it lets you chat directly to the developers and ask questions. And they can also help you, pointing you in the right direction for where to file your bugs.
Right. And it's a good way to find out if whatever it was that you discover, whether it is a bug or not. Sometimes 5 minutes of conversation in Ubuntu Touch on IRC will figure out if actually, it is a bug, or no, it's a hardware problem, and point you in the right direction.
All right. The next one is from Wheelie Joe again. It's asking, is RC better than stable? Why are so many people using RC? So I think he probably actually means RC proposed, which is the daily channel. So the stable channel is, I think, really old. Or no, I'm thinking of the Devel channel. Never mind. So yeah, stable gets updates every 6 to 8 weeks, whereas the RC proposed gets it almost daily. And a lot of us use the RC proposed because we're testing the latest developments and giving rapid feedback to the developers as they land. It's generally not recommended for most users just because this is stuff that comes in before it's thoroughly tested, and a lot of times new code will have bugs that we don't really want to push out to everybody.
So just to highlight that, so the process is that a developer who either works for Canonical or someone in the community is working on an app or a feature, they will develop on their desktop. They will test on their own device, and their own device may have a mishmash of packages on that that don't reflect reality, and so that's not a great test environment. So it goes through some testing before it lands in any image at all. So we have a thing called the CI train, continuous integration train, and developers submit their packages, whatever type of package it is. So it could be the phone app. I'll give you a good example. The most recent app that we uploaded to the store was Telegram, and I uploaded that yesterday, but that was only uploaded after it had been tested by the QA team. And similarly, for things that go into the image or into the store, they're tested by the QA team. So it gets tested before it lands in the image. It will then, if it's approved by QA, land in the next RC proposed, which generally gets built by a cron job overnight. So at 3 a.m. UTC or thereabouts, there's an image that gets built for all devices, unless there's any exception that they shouldn't get built for some reason. Once that image is built, people start testing it the next day. So most of us, our ritual first thing in the morning is wake up, have breakfast, turn on phone, check for updates, do your over-the-air update, then start playing with all the apps that you use on a regular basis.
It's a little bit different over here. The process is stay up until midnight and then install the latest update.
Yeah, time zones are hard. And once we've done some testing on those images, some of us might identify problems, and then it goes back around the loop again and again and again. And then eventually we get to a stability period where no more changes are allowed in the image, and the landing team will put one of those images forward as a candidate to become the stable image. And then it goes through a lot more QA. There's a whole load of manual testing that happens. And that, if it passes, then becomes the actual image that you would get if you bought a retail device. And that's what appears on the stable channel. So going back to your original question, which was what's better, stable or RC? It really depends. I personally, I'm lucky enough to have more than one phone, so I don't mind running RC proposed, because if the phone breaks, I could reflash it. It's not a catastrophe. But if you're running RC proposed and it's your only phone, and you update your phone at breakfast and then you drive to work, it's possible that you could spend the whole day with a broken phone. That's possible. It's unlikely, but it could happen. Or it could be that the main feature that you need is broken for that whole day until we fix it and another image is built overnight. So it's one of those things. It's just a personal decision about whether you choose stable or RC.
One other reason you might choose to use the RC proposed is if you are an app developer and you want to start updating your app to target new APIs before they land in an OTA, you can get access to those in the RC proposed. And we've got updated API docs on the developer portal that track those daily builds also.
Right, and actually that's an interesting point. Is if you're developing for the RC proposed image, if you only have one device and you have it running RC proposed, like bleeding edge, and you're developing for that, there are features you may use on there that don't work on stable phones, because RC proposed might be 6 to 8 weeks ahead of the stable phones. So there's no guarantee that if you develop for RC proposed and you put that into the store, that it will work on every phone. So I made a handy tool that you might want to look at called Marvin. And Marvin allows app developers to upload a click package, which then gets tested on a bunch of devices, which are always all running the stable release. So you can see if your app even launches successfully. And that's at marvin.popey.com. And you can go there, upload a click package, choose which devices you want to test it on, and it will send you emails with screenshots of of what your app looks like, which might be useful to some developers, especially those who only have one device.
or who happen to not have any device and have just been running an emulator.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
All right. Wheelie Joe again asks, where can you buy the MX5 phone and how long until you receive it? So, Alan, where did you order yours?
There was a company called JD. That was the officially. So a lot of these companies, some of them distribute their phones themselves through their own store. So, for example, BQ have their own store, whereas Meizu distribute through a third party called JD. I think they're also called Joytech, and maybe they go under a couple of different names depending upon where you are in the world. That's where I ordered mine from. And if I find a link, I can paste it in IRC.
If you go through Meizu's site for the Ubuntu phone, will it take you directly there based on like GeoIP or something?
I don't know. It might do. But I've just pasted the link. It's actually called joybuy.com. And it looks like they're out of stock again. Or are they? I don't know. They were in stock maybe for a day or so, but they go out of stock quickly. Some people have joked that maybe they only have 3 or 4 for sale, and that's why they go out of stock so quickly. I actually have no idea how many they sell, but I wouldn't imagine they would spin up a factory to build 4 phones. That makes no financial sense whatsoever. So I would imagine they've built some thousands of phones, and those have all been sold. And then, when they spin up another run, those have been sold as well. So keep an eye on that site.
Yeah. It's also possible that JD being out of stock is not the same as Meizu being out of stock.
True. Yeah, I don't actually know. You could contact Meizu or JD or Joybuy or whatever they're called. So the second part of the question that Wheelie Joe asked was, how long did it take? So I ordered mine on the 29th of April. And I got the notification that it would be here, I think, on the 13th of May. So that's a couple of weeks. And it said it would be here by the 18th. So 2.5 weeks is how long it took to get here from China. Unfortunately, I was out of the country, so it took an extra week. But yeah, it arrived nicely in a rather nice black box like that. With the Meizu and Ubuntu logo in the corner there. Inside the box, USB cable. Worth noting, it's USB-C connector, not the old rubbish USB, micro USB, but the newer one, which is nice. It's quite fast as well. I've tried copying music and stuff over that cable, and it's nice and quick, so that's good. Charger. Which unfortunately is a Euro charger, not a UK charger, which is a shame. So I won't be using that unless I'll have one to take with me when I go to Europe.
Is the charging cable just a standard USB that plugs into that?
Yep.
So you could use it with another plug.
It's quite a funky cable, actually. It's because it's USB-C. It's one of those, like, you can put it in either way round. But the same goes for the other end as well. The other end is you can put in either orientation as well. I don't know how that works. It's magic, but yeah, you can just put it in one way round, turn it round, put it in again. This is amazing. It's like,
so you no longer have to try it 3 times to plug it in.
No, I have just successfully plugged it in without even looking at the connector.
Amazing. What a time to be alive.
Yes, exactly. Right. That's enough about connectors.
User 21 is asking, any news regarding Spotify support? And yes. I think you might know more about this than me.
Yes. So I discussed this with Andrew, who works on the music app, yesterday. And we have the current actions are that the design team are coming up with, we generically call it streaming support rather than calling it Spotify support, because we don't want to tie the app just to Spotify. I realize Spotify is like the most popular streaming service in some parts of the world, but in other parts of the world, other services are available. And also some people would rather use a free service than a paid service, and so on and so on. So we want to have a generic streaming capability in the music app rather than just Spotify. Spotify will probably be the first one though. If you have a preference of something other than Spotify, then do let me know, because we've got a list of ones that we know of, but there may be ones that we just don't know of that are super popular somewhere in the world that we don't know. So the current actions are Andrew is investigating the Spotify API, which has changed recently, is a web API now, and the design team are coming up with sketches for what that should look like. So yeah, that's currently fairly high priority for the music devs. Watch this space.
All right, the next two actually kind of go together from Wheelie Joe. Can you install a GIMP snap, and is GIMP snap better than Deb snap? So I don't know of any GIMP snap right now, but it should be possible. And one of the benefits that you would get from doing it through a snap is so GIMP has a lot of underlying dependencies on GTK libraries and stuff. So to get the latest version of GIMP, you really need to make sure that it's in sync with those dependent libraries. And sometimes the distro is not going to have those, or installing those from a PPA with the latest GIMP might cause some of your other GTK apps to have problems. But doing it all through a snap means that GIMP can ship the newest versions of those libraries that it needs, and those libraries aren't going to conflict with any other app on your system. So in theory, the GIMP developers would be able to create like daily snap builds of the latest and greatest GIMP, and you can use those without having to worry about the rest of your GNOME apps crashing or behaving unexpectedly. So that would be a good one to target for a snap if anybody's feeling ambitious. Chances are there's going to be some things that need to be done to make that work under confinement, because it is a big app that does lots of things and probably touches lots of places on your file system. But yeah, it would be good to see if that can be done.
Yeah, that would be a cool one to snapify. Absolutely. Clonica asks, are snaps a Linux equivalent of Windows portable apps? Kind of, I guess. The difference with Windows portable apps is that, as I understand them, you could put the portable app on a USB stick and you could carry that to any Windows machine and just run it. Snaps are slightly different in that they require that you already have, or as part of the installation of that snap, it will install the base image, the Ubuntu core base image. So portable apps on Windows shouldn't touch the local install. You should be able to run them from a USB key or something like that. But snaps will install onto the local file system and make changes to the local file system. So they're not quite the same.
I think another difference is that the Windows portable apps store user data with the app on whatever USB or whatnot you've stored it on. Whereas I believe snaps still use your home directory to store your user data, so that, if you were to do a clean install or something, but keep your home directory around, you wouldn't lose all of that.
Cool. What's the next one? Which upstream package snaps have you got examples?
I don't know of any upstream that is officially shipping snaps yet, because it is so very new and we're still working out all of the rough edges of the packaging stuff. I believe that LibreOffice is working on it. One of our employees is part of Libre, the Document Foundation, and he's been working with them to move in that direction. They seem very interested in having these kind of standalone, directly distributed apps, so that they can get the latest version of LibreOffice out to users much more quickly than through the distro packaging model.
Okay, next question is from Chloe Wolfley Girl, who asks the standard weekly question: has anyone asked about HUD and the messaging framework? If not, HUD and messaging framework?
Right, so
the answer is no.
Last I talked to the Unity 8 developers, they were working on the menu support in Unity 8. So as soon as that lands, then we will at least see the start of what was in the HUD before.
for messaging framework, that's currently actively being worked on. I know that because I saw a flurry of emails recently about it. But yes, I would keep an eye out for messaging framework. I think that will be landing in images sometime soon.
And that's going to work with the current messaging app, right? I think the app itself has gotten some updates recently to prepare for that.
I don't know the details. All I know is it's being worked on.
All right. Chloe again is asking, what are your favorite chocolate bars or biscuits?
Oh, now we're going to get onto the biscuits versus biscuits debate.
Yeah.
Here.
So Chloe is from England, where biscuits mean something very different from what they mean here in the Southeast United States. So my favorite biscuits are the Southern US kind of biscuits that are big and fluffy, and you put jam on them or sausage gravy on them, which is delicious. Not cookies that you dunk in your tea.
When you said delicious, I think you mispronounced wrong. So the correct kind of biscuits are the ones that have the structural integrity to survive being dunked in a cup of hot tea.
You mean cookie?
I mean biscuits. And a favorite in the UK is digestives. But I also favor hobnobs as well. I like the grainy, wheaty taste of a hobnob, especially once it's been dunked in a cup of hot tea. I'm glad we get these important things out of the way.
Yes. As far as chocolate bars, I don't necessarily have a favorite, but I have been introduced to a whole bunch of new British chocolates, thanks to our common friend Laura Tchaikovsky, Laura Faulty now, who brought me 2 giant bags of tea and biscuits, English biscuits, and snack candies at OSCON.
Nice. Awesome. I'm not a big chocolate bar fan, so any chocolate that someone else buys for me is good chocolate.
All right, getting back on track. Chloe's asking, how's the Pro 5 and what are your biggest gripes with it? My biggest gripe is that I don't have one.
So I've had it for about 24 hours. So I'm not sure I have any gripes yet. Things I really like about it, the camera's really good. I went outside and took some pictures of the cats, obviously, as you do. We're
going to get into a cats versus dogs debate?
No, because there's no debate to be had, Michael. The speaker on it is really good. I've been listening to music on it, and the speaker is pretty good for a phone. You know, I've long lamented that the speaker on some of my previous Android phones has been pretty terrible. I quite like the speaker on the iPhone 4 and the 4S. I thought that was pretty good, but many of the Android devices I've had over the years haven't been that good. This one actually is pretty good. I often listen to the radio on my phone, and I just leave the radio playing on my phone and walk around the house with my phone and just put it down while I'm making a cup of hot tea, or while I'm having a shower, I'll take it upstairs and put it on the windowsill in the bathroom and have the radio playing. So this is mostly my portable radio device, as well as, you know, other things. So having decent quality sound is important. I don't know. No, I don't have any gripes yet. I'll let you know once I do have some. No, I just don't yet. It's quite nice. It's nice that it's got dual SIM slots. It's got one of those, the same as the OnePlus X. It has a SIM slot where you can either put 2 SIM cards in, or you could put 1 SIM card and a micro SD card in. So currently I've got 1 SIM and a micro SD card in here, as opposed to having 2 SIMs. But when I'm abroad, like when I'm in the US, I'll usually have 2 SIMs. And so having a phone that can support my UK SIM, so I can receive like 2-factor auth text messages and text messages from family, but also having a US SIM, so I've got lots of data, is really, really useful. So it's a nice phone. It's and it feels really nice in the hand as well. It's yeah. You should get one, Mike.
I should get one. Yeah, I need to check on those 3G band support before I get one. That's been the problem with all the other OEM phones.
It's a shame mine didn't arrive before I came out to the States last week, because then I would have been able to bring it out and test it
while you were here.
Cool. Right, let's move on.
Seb asks, what did you two get up to in Texas last week?
Yeehaw!
Lots of good food. That's what we got.
Yes.
Good food in Austin.
Yeah, I really liked Austin. Yeah, we did the we mentioned at the beginning of the video, we went to Community Leadership Summit. We had a community team sprint, and we also went to OSCON. Met up with lots of super cool people at Community Leadership Summit. There were some really cool sessions there. One of the there were a couple of interesting ones. One that I found particularly interesting was we were sat in a session where we were talking about trolls and haters online and how it affects our project. And it was interesting to have people there from Ubuntu. Myself and Daniel and David Calais were in the room. There were a couple of people from Microsoft there who work on the Visual Studio team. There were people who work for companies that sell financial services, and they have a community around the products that they sell. And there was a guy who runs a forum dedicated to ex-service personnel, Marines and Army people and the like. And it was funny how we all have the same kind of issues with people, dealing with people who are trolls and haters. It was quite interesting. The same kind of problems that we have in Ubuntu, the guys at Microsoft have as well. And so there was a lot of empathy in the room, and we all felt a shared sense of what each other was feeling. So it was a really, really good event. Really liked CLS, and yes, I loved all the food over there as well.
Yeah. Speaking of the Microsoft guys, I was really kind of shocked and really happy at how excited they were about open source. At OSCON, they actually had part of their booth dedicated to showing off Ubuntu running on Windows. They had big signs about it. They were even giving away little plush tuxes with the Microsoft open source logo printed on them. So it was very neat. I had several conversations with a couple of the guys there, and one of them came over by our booth later to check out our phones. So yeah, it's really cool to see how much they've changed and come around to embracing open source and community-led projects like that.
Yep. Right. Chloe Wolfie-Girl asks, how's USB-C? How's living in the future? It's great. The only problem is I have like a ton of micro USB cables, and I have exactly one USB-C cable, the one that came with my Pro 5. So I think I might have to invest in a couple more of these. And I understand that there's a guy from Google who's been doing a lot of extensive testing of these USB-C cables. So I will make sure I will buy a decent one, or one that's at least on his list of not rubbish ones, won't catch fire, won't be, cause damage to my phone or my computer.
All right, Seb asks if Chloe Wolfie Girl is our biggest fan, which she confirms on IRC for us. So, woo! All right, scrolling down a bit. Chloe's asking, how much better will OTA 12 be over OTA 11? And also, how much better will OTA 13 be?
Well, it will be going to be at least one better, aren't they?
Yes. OTA 13 might be 2 better than OTA 11.
Yeah. I should probably look at the milestones. You can look at the milestones on Launchpad and see what's targeted for those milestones. So we use milestones to tag bugs so that we can set expectations both for the developers and the project management team for when we expect things to be ready for a particular over-the-air update. And also it's good for like customers and users and enthusiasts and developers to be able to say, oh, well, this thing that's currently bugging me, I can see they're going to fix it in the next update or the one after that. And so, I'll work around it for now maybe, or something like that. I haven't looked at the list for OTA 12 or 13. I understand, I saw an article that said OTA 12 will mostly be a bug fix OTA rather than, lots of new features landing. So that's good to see because, obviously we've got a huge list of bugs and we need to plow through some of them. So yeah, I look forward to that. But 11 is effectively what I'm running on the Pro 5 now that I've updated to RC proposed. And it's nice. It's nice and quick. I like it.
All right, and follow up to that, where do you think Ubuntu Phone will be by OTA 15? So I'm going to optimistically say that by OTA 15, Unity 8 will have menu support. And you might even have a search box in there. I haven't seen designs, so I can't say, but I'm going to optimistically predict that by OTA 15. I also think that by then, it will be much, much better to use as a desktop when you plug it into a big screen and get a keyboard and mouse. It's already pretty close there, so by OTA 15, it should be really good.
So 15, we're talking if there's 6 to 8 weeks between each, and we're currently about to land 11, my simple maths says that's at least 20 weeks away.
Right, so
or
5 months.
So that's 5 to 6 months worth of development. And, 6 months worth of development is quite a long time. So potentially quite a lot of things could change in that time. You might even see new devices by then.
I think we might be either just switched to Snappy or about to switch to Snappy in that time frame. No,
I would bet money that would not be the case.
All right. We will find out who's right in a Q&A in 5 to 6
months. Yeah. All right. Next question. Chloe's asking, will snaps be easy to implement in other distros?
We would like it to be, and there is work going on there to make sure that distros that use different things than us, so example, distros that use SE Linux instead of AppArmor, that Snaps and Snappy will work on those. So that is the goal. That's not working right now, but it is something that we do want to get working so that snaps are beneficial to as many people as possible.
Next question is from Dragon77. He says, I'm going to ask this potentially hot question. Oh, we like those. So here goes. Will Mir and Wayland be able to coexist peacefully on a single machine, and how will they do that?
So the short answer to that is they already do.
Right.
So, unlike the init system where you can only have one really at a time on your machine, you can have different display servers. On mine right now, I've got Mir, Wayland, and Xorg installed. It all depends on the session startup and what it uses. So if you start up Unity 8, you use Mir. You start up Unity 7, you use Xorg. You start up GNOME, you can choose the Wayland session and it uses Wayland. It really doesn't matter to anything running on top of it, and they don't conflict with each other in the install in any way. All right, Chloe's asking, when will we see the new notifications? So I'm not sure what the new notifications are. I've noticed some changes, especially on the desktop. Notifications in Unity 8 look quite a bit different than they do on the phone. So I'm not sure if those are the new notifications or if that's been like that for a while and I just noticed because I just started playing with it on the desktop. I don't know if we lost Alan or if he's gotten distracted by something. So I guess he's got nothing to say about notifications, and we'll carry on. Dragon77 asks, has Valve shown any interest in snaps? I think Valve's interest would be in snapping Steam itself, but in still being in control of distributing Steam games themselves. I don't know if they're going to try and get games working on snaps or not. They already have the advantage of being able to publish stuff directly to users, so they probably really would only be interested in the Steam interface itself being a snap. All right. Welcome back, Alan.
Thank you.
Seb has a question for you. It says, how big is the Pro 5 really? Apparently it's so big, but is it really, can it go nicely in a pocket or not?
Well, if you look up the specs on somewhere like GSM Arena, which is my usual go-to website for finding out the specs, you can see it in millimeters, probably. But to give you an idea, that's the Pro 5. This is the BQE 4.5, and so that's them back to back, with it kind of partially lined up on this side. So there is a bit of a gap there, and there's a gap at the top. So it's a bit bigger than an E 4.5. If you compare it with some other phone like a OnePlus X, then it's only a little bit bigger than that, not a huge amount bigger. Thickness wise, it's a tiny bit thicker than the OnePlus X, but not much. So yeah, it's big. It's bigger than I would normally have as a phone. I prefer phones like the E 4.5 size. I'm not a massive fan of giant phones, but yeah, I guess it depends on your pocket size.
All right. We've got about 5 minutes left and a whole bunch of last-minute questions, as always happens. So let's try and get through these as fast as we can.
This hour has flown by.
Yeah. So Chloe's asking for a full review of the phone with pan shots and explosions. You can get a less Michael Bay version of that if you follow Alan on Google+. He's posted a couple videos. Larea asked if you've changed the Pro 5 image channel. So is that on stable or is that on RC Proposed now?
I'm on RC Proposed, yeah.
Right. Seb. Microsoft love open source. Well, apparently, do they? You think so, going by your Tech6 experience, or, for example, or not? Yes, I think Microsoft genuinely likes open source now. At least the parts that are embracing it, like the cloud and the Windows subsystem for Linux. I think they see a real value in open source to their company now. Some of the other parts may be holdouts and still, the old Microsoft mentality, but that's changing quickly throughout the company, it seems. Right. Chloe asks, is the future worth the price of USB-C? Alan, yes or no?
Is the what? Is the
future worth the price of USB-C?
Yes, totally. I've said this before. All, with no exception whatsoever, all USB connectors prior to USB-C suck completely, and they should all be burned in a fire and buried in the ground and all recycled, whatever. But yeah, they all suck, and this one doesn't.
Well, there's no wiggle room there.
Nope.
All right. Seb asks, do either of you use mostly exclusively Ubuntu Touch now, hardly ever other things like Android or iOS? Mark uses alternatives a bit, it seems, so I wonder. So I use Ubuntu exclusively on my phone. I have for almost 2 years now. I do have an Android tablet, but it's the old 2012. I use it for developing an Android app, but it's more or less useless for anything other than that. It can't even load up either Chrome or the original Android browser. It just sits there forever doing nothing.
I use lots of devices. There's like currently 4 Ubuntu devices on my desk and 2 Android devices on my desk. So I use a mixture.
Dragon77 asks, will we have a CLI command to update all installed snaps? I think we do. Doesn't the snap command have an update or refresh or something that'll do that?
It's refresh, yes.
Okay.
And you could, well, at the moment it's snap, refresh, and then the individual snap to refresh that one snap. I don't know if it's going to be a refresh all.
Okay. Yeah, you could do that with a line of bash if you had to. All right. Chloe's asking about HUD and OTA 15. We will wait and see on that. I made a prediction on it. We'll see if it comes true or not. Seb asked, does Popey have a BQE5 HD or not? Seems he has all the other Ubuntu devices so far.
No, that's the one I'm missing. I do look on eBay now and then because I see them pop up, but they're quite rare. Not many of them pop up. I don't think a huge number of those were sold.
Chloe asked if we have any new device announcements on this Q&A. Nope,
Never.
Just showing off the Pro 5. And I think we showed off the M10 last week, didn't we?
Yes.
Right. Seb said asked, will it be easy to dual boot Ubuntu in the future, possibly on certain devices with Android or Firefox OS, maybe even Windows? Don't know.
I would say almost certainly not.
I mean, there's multi-ROM, which seemed to work for a while. I don't know if that's still working or supported. It's certainly not a big focus for us.
No. If someone else wants to make the necessary tooling to do that, but the problem is we never test that scenario, so it could break because it's not a focus of ours.
Seb is asking about my Unity 8 for 10 days challenge and how it went. I completed 10 days with it. They were not contiguous because I did switch to Unity 7 for a couple days to work on snappy stuff. But I do plan on writing a wrap-up report on my blog on that. But I did go 10 days on it. It was not horrible. I survived. And it's only going to get better from here. Right. Chloe asks, is Unity 8 better than Windows 8? I have barely used Windows 8, so I cannot definitively say. I can say that Unity 8 is better because it's open source and on my laptop. And that's enough for me. Chloe's asking, have you had a good day so far? Well, I have now. And any plans for the weekend? Alan, any plans?
No.
Yeah. I've got housework and buying new tires for my truck. That's it. Woohoo. Fun times.
The last question is from Laura Mikel asking what channel I'm on my Pro 5. And the answer is Ubuntu Touch, RC proposed, Meizu EN.
All right. And with that, we are out of time. We will be back. Somebody will be back next week. It may not be the two of us. It may be the Davids or Daniel. But we will be back same day, same time, same place, ubuntuonair.com. You can follow us on Twitter at ubuntuonair.com or on YouTube, where we are also, coincidentally, Ubuntu On Air. So if we didn't answer your questions, come back next week and ask some more. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.